All right, everyone. Welcome back to Are There Still More Weapons to Cover? It is. We have some world drop weapons. And even after this one, we still have Trials, Iron Banner, event weapons coming up. Man, Bungie really added a ton of weapons with this episode. And there's a good amount of them. There's only some that are just kind of like, eh. But let's start off with the world weapon. So first off, we get the Boondoggle, a gun that is actually pretty cool looking. It looks just like the Huckleberry. It has a pretty unique frame compared to most legendaries in the game. It will have the text mechanical origin trait, so you'll get the increased handling, reload, and everything when you fire from the hip. So honestly, I mean, it's not the best origin trait, but I mean, just fire from the hip, you get increased reload speed, plus all the other stats. It's not terrible. But in the first column, specifically for PvE, we're gonna have subsistence and pugilist. That's about it. But in the second column, swashbuckler being pretty much the only damage perk here. I mean, you do have Adagio, which I guess is decent, but swash probably is gonna be better. So right off the bat here, if you want to go for the Huckleberry route, I mean, it's definitely just subsistence swashbuckler. You just never have to reload the gun. Essentially, you get a damage increase. Granted, this is not the best damage increase perk, but it's something. And since it's an SMG, you're going to be pretty close. You maybe can get a melee kill to get the max stacks, which is nice. But if you want to go with Adagio, this will lower your fire rate. You do get a 30% increase in damage just immediately and more range, which I guess is decent on an SMG. But it kind of is doing the opposite of Huckleberry, where Huckleberry increases the fire rate. This is slowing the fire rate. So I would probably just go with Swash to keep the normal fire rate. Again, if you don't want to go with Subsistence, you could go with Pugilist here. That will pair with Swashbuckler a lot better because you get some melee energy. You can use your melee to get the max stacks here. But I'm going to be honest, I'm probably just going to go with Swash Subsistence with this role. You can play into the hip fire, which is nice. It has armor piercing rounds for the increased shield damage. But unfortunately for PvE, this thing just does not seem that good, and there's just a lot better options. But if you want a cool looking SMG, then for sure go for this. I mean, this is probably going to be the god roll for PvE. For PvP though, I mean, you do have the hipfire, offhand, text mechanica. You could just do some crazy hipfire shenanigans with this. You have closing time. This thing definitely does seem it was built more for PvP. I mean, even kill and win right here. So that's probably what you want to craft it for. But for PvE, I mean, it looks cool, but I just don't think it's going to compete with other weapons that we currently have in the meta. But next up, we have the Admetus-D. I'd probably butchered that name so wrong. But this actually is a very interesting scout rifle. It's going to be a void high impact frame. It can get repulsive race. It has a new perk, recycle energy, rapid hit, which I have already on there for some reason. And then that's pretty much it for PvE. But it also has withering gaze, demoralize, precision instrument, I guess, frenzy, and elemental honing. But this is more of a DPS perk, so I really wouldn't worry about that too much. But frenzy is probably the best option for a damage perk. So right off the bat, repulsive rays, withering gaze. This is going to be a great utility weapon. You can get an overshield because withering gaze will apply a weaken. Withering gaze also just applies a weaken. So if you need to have a weaken on a target, you now have a primary weapon to do so. This might be the only one, and if there's more, it's a very, very limited amount of primaries that can get withering gaze. So you could use this, swap to a boss damage, and the target's weakened. Right now in the game, obviously with Particle Reconstruction, it will stack with the lower tier weaken, which this does provide. So having this, you know, with Queenbreaker, you could just easily get a weaken off, then you can run to some sort of at-clear special weapon. This is going to be very solid, and you have the utility benefit of repulsor brace. Even if you don't repulsor brace, you could pair this with something like rapid hit or anything. It would be totally fine. But even if you want to go the other route with demoralize, so if you get a precision kill, you'll make everything around that target weaken. This is decent, but I think particularly what this is going to be used for, I think withering gaze will be a little bit better. And even rapid hit, precision instrument, if you're just going for some sort of single target damage thing, that could be good. Frenzy, you don't really need rapid hit, so you can go with recycled energy. So if you're getting kills, you can reload and you're going to get that energy back. Frenzy will max the reload speed out. I don't think most people are going to be using this for some sort of add clear weapon, but I guess that is a decent option if you will like it. I think overall though, having the withering gaze and repulsive brace utility, again, to weaken a boss, to get an overshield if you ever need it, I think this is going to be the go-to role that I'm going to go for. And you also have to remember it does have Haka Breach armament, so you will do more damage to vehicles, constructs, and stasis crystals, which again, kind of more utility for the new dungeon because all the stasis crystals that are made from the subjugators, you could just destroy them a lot easier now. And then For PvP, I mean, you do have Close of Tom, Lone Wolf, the classic combo. I'm pretty sure Withering Gaze is actually interesting in PvP because you can proc a weaken on the enemy. It's specifically for hunters. You can get off Stylus Executioner, get the wall hacks and all that sort. So that could be pretty good for that too. But I think overall, again, for PvE, definitely Withering Gaze or Pulse Brace. Maybe just armor piercing rounds just so you can get that increased shield damage as well. But next up, we have the Cruoris FR4. Again, probably butchered this one like crazy, but this is going to be an aggressive frame arc fusion rifle. So in the first column, just perks that I guess stand out. You have things like Recycle Energy, Eddy Current, Clown Cartridge, Discord. You can have infinite ammo, stats files kind of in, that attacker's kind of in. Barrel Constrictor, which is, this might be the first time this has been on a fusion rifle. If it isn't, definitely be sure to let me know, but I don't know if I've seen this on this is normally a shotgun perk. But then you also have Rolling Storm for bolt charge builds. I mean, one for all, successful warm-up, Admetus-D for some sort of DPS rotation. So this one's kind of an interesting one. This is kind of, I think, going to be on the lesser side of all the other good ones. I do want to point out Omlon Fluid Dynamics. When you're at the top half of the magazine, you will get some increased reload speed and stability. But so fusion rifles, you can use them for ad clear, but typically if you are using for ad clear, they can get chain reaction, they can get reservoir burst. That's what you kind of want with them. You're not really going to be using a damage increase perk like One for All for ad clear, but you can also use these for single target damage. So you do have things like Clown Cartridge and Elemental Honing, so you can reload, get your Clown Cartridge active. You're going to have Omlon Fluid Dynamics active pretty much the majority of the magazine, and if you're doing some swap rotation, this could be decent. I don't think it's going to be the greatest thing in the game by any means. We already have very good fusions that can do DPS, so I don't know if this is going to overtake it, but that is one to keep an eye out for. You could go for Pure Arc, Eddy Current, Rolling Storm, but again, Rolling Storm just on its own, at least this season, isn't the greatest perk because it's really not hard to get both charge stacks. But if it becomes a point where Rolling Storm is very good, you need to get bolt charge, this could be a solid option, but primary weapons can also just get this roll. And if you're using your special for this, specifically for a fusion rifle, and not something like an area denial will be fine, but for a fusion rifle that takes forever to charge, I don't think I could recommend this. You have stats are all One for All again, but we're not really using that for ad clear. This thing just is honestly not that good. To be completely real, for PvE at least, I think Clown Cartridge and Elemental Honing is for sure going to be the go-to perk. If you get this to drop, maybe you want to keep it just in case if there's some sort of DPS you could do with it. I guess one final thing to point out for PvE though is it does have Discord, so again you can pretty much get infinite ammo with this. Maybe Discord successful warm-up, so you can actually increase the charge time and just run around, just keep looping things over and over and over again. That could be fun. I just don't think it's going to be effective. For PvP though, I mean, you have Threat Detector, and that's about it, honestly, in this column. I mean, Barrel Constrictor could be fun, depending on how strong that is. Again, I'm not a big PvP person, but yeah, this fusion definitely looks like to be the least cool one out of all the other ones. I mean, the Boondoggle gets points because it does look unique. But then finally, we have the Qua Furor V or 5 QU8 for 5. I don't know. These names are so weird, but this is going to be a 600 round per minute stasis machine gun. So if you don't have a 600 round per minute, because I know they are kind of newer, they came out final shape, this could be a decent one to get since it is a world drop now. But in the first column for PvE, we do have Rhyme Stealer, Feed and Frenzy, Recycle Energy, but I don't know if I would recommend that because the reload is just going to be pretty slow, and Triple Tap. But next column, you have Elemental Honing, Dragonfly, Golden Tricorn, Rampage, One for All. Bunch of just good damage perks. You do have Wild Card, which is nice because this will just cause the little like Telesto bolt things to come out when you kill a target. It's just decent for some extra ad clear, which is nice. And typically that is how you're going to be building fusion rifles, is for ad clear. So right off the bat, you can get armor piercing rounds to increase your shield damage, which is good. But Feeding Frenzy here, you're going to get your reload speed up every time you get a kill. You can pair that with One for All, Rampage, Golden Tricorn. Any of these, One for All probably being your best option. You're going to get a 30% damage increase alongside the reload speed. You could also not run One for All since it is a machine gun. They kind of already, a 1-2 shot red bars, which is what you're using them for anyway. And you could take Dragonfly, so you can get a bunch of reload speed and just do an AoE damage, which is good. I would definitely recommend this one. Unfortunately, with Rhyme Stealer over here, I don't know why they added a Rhyme Stealer to it and there's no headstone, because when are you ever really going to take advantage of this perk unless you are playing into a stasis build specifically? If you're not, this perk is literally just a dead perk because you have to destroy a stasis crystal or a frozen target. I guess your teammates could freeze the target and then you could kill them and get some benefit out of it. But if this had headstone, it would be actually pretty good because wildcard actually can, like, when it procs, it can hit the headstone, it can break the headstone. So that would probably in return proc Rhyme Stealer. I'm not sure how good that would be, but that would be a pretty cool, interesting combination you could do with this. But Rhyme Stealer is literally just a dead perk, unless you are playing into a stasis build. So I think overall, it's probably going to be, you know, Feed and Frenzy and Dragonfly. But it does have some sort of DPS option here that I do want to point out. Again, I don't think I would be using a machine gun for DPS. We do have the artifact perk this season that kind of wants you to use it for DPS, but it does have triple tap and also elemental honing. So elemental honing, again, you're going to get a massive damage increase if you do use a bunch of different elements for a very long time. It's like 20 some seconds. And you also have triple tap, so you can use this, pair this with some sort of way to increase the magazine by a lot. I mean, with the extended mag, you get to 66, a backup mag 75. You're going to be able to shoot this for a while. You're going to get the whole 20 seconds of elemental honing if you do stack this up properly. And I mean, there could be potential here with this. I'm not going to say it's going to be meta or anything, but if you get this to drop, you know, potentially I would hold on to it because it does seem pretty cool. I mean, we saw with Retrofit Escapade with something like Target Lock at 4 times the charm. It's definitely not the greatest thing by any means, but it is a fun option. This also does seem like a fun option. Probably not going to overtake, obviously, something like Queen Breaker in the current sandbox. But again, if machine guns ever somehow magically become meta, this might be one you want to hold on to. But that is all of the world drop weapons. I'm gonna be honest, they're not the greatest. Boondoggle being a pretty fun one, again, not the best. The Admetus right here being probably the coolest one, the most unique one, the one I'm actually gonna be able to look out for. Again, utility with repulsive rays, withering gaze actually seems pretty solid, specifically again just for any ball scenario. Also has Haka for the stasis crystals. The fusion here, I don't think I can recommend the fusion for anything, I'm gonna be honest. And then the machine gun, it has a pretty interesting roles. If I had to rank them, Scout Rifle being number 1, machine gun being number 2, Boondoggle being number 3, and fusion definitely being 4. But that is all of the brand new world drop weapons. Let me know the ones that you're looking out for the most. If I missed any cool potential perk combinations here, definitely be sure to let me know down below. But I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. If you haven't checked my other God Roll videos out, definitely be sure to go check those. The dungeon weapons literally seem to be just disgusting. So if you want to figure out which dungeon weapons that you're going for, definitely be sure to go check the video out. But anyway, again, thank you all so much for watching this one, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.